I'm not revealing to you which specific kinks I have. I'm revealing which specific kinks I don't have. I'm not saying that you're not welcome here. I'm just warning you that if you are suffering from a severe lack of whimsy, you're not going to have a good time. Hello, and happy Valentine's Day. Now look, the title is a lie. I didn't really read romance so much as I read smut. Look, this isn't just a horror channel, okay? We cover horror and thrillers, but we also cover bizarro and other weird things. And so today's video falls under the category of weird things. I have 4 books I want to talk about today, and I also have a 5th honorable mention for at the end. Okay, so first up, we're going to cover the classic Unhinged by Vera Valentine. If you've kind of been running in weird book circles, you've probably heard of the book smut book. Book? What? You've probably heard of the door smut book. So I'm a little late to this, but I haven't read it. And do I want to read it? Yeah, of course I want to read the weird book about door smut. Of course I do. So, let me in. Don't gatekeep. It's not too late. It's never too late. It's not too late. It's never too late. Who is that? Is that Chris Daughtry? I think that's Chris Daughtry. So, in the wise words of
3 Days Grace,
it's not too late. It's never too late. On the off chance that you haven't heard of this, I've pretty much given it all away. But let's get into the specifics. This isn't just a regular door. This is a sentient door. And we're reading this from his perspective. Now, he is the front door of a woman named Tana, and he's obsessed with her, of course, because he's her front door, and he views himself as her protector, right? He keeps the evil at bay. She locks him up at night or whatever, and he keeps all the dangers and the threats at bay. He has no concept that other doors are not sentient, and they're not. This isn't a world where all doors are sentient, just this specific door. Tana has a landlord who is creepy, and so our front door doesn't like the fact that when Tana leaves, the landlord has this special key that he puts inside of him and lets himself into Tana's apartment to be a creep and a weirdo. And the front door is very upset. It's very upset that he can't warn her or do anything because of this special key that the landlord has. One thing leads to another. She ends up fucking the door. Literally. Or, well, I guess she fucks herself on the door, and it turns the sentient door into a man. How does she know that would happen? Wouldn't you like to know? And so, yeah, he does turn into a man. And the whole thing at that point, because it's like, I was kind of expecting him to stay a door. So disappointed isn't the right word, just, and so then he's just a dude, but he's not just a regular dude. He still has all of those very simple impulses to protect her. But now it's in the form of a really hot dude. And he's kind of stupid. The whole energy after he becomes a man is he's sort of like a himbo. Like he's just like this big hunk of a man, but he's a moron. But it's okay because he's so innocent and pure. Our door becomes aware that Tana has a crush on Idris Elba, and so he decides that he will be inspired by that man's first name, going by Driss. He doesn't really have thoughts, and he kind of just lets her run the show. And this relationship between them, we start to get into, it's acknowledged in the book that they're playing, but it's kind of like a roleplay kink type thing. She starts referring to him as a good boy. And like, oh, you did so good. Do you want a reward? And stuff like that. And he's like into it. And so the story takes a turn from him being a door to just being a hot idiot of a man, and he's still her protector, though, against the landlord. So what did I think about this book? You know, at the beginning of the book, before we get into it, she has a special little blurb that's like, hey, this isn't AI. This is my creativity. Fuck you guys. And I'm like, honestly, bless. I reviewed Mia Ballard, Shy Girl, a few videos back. And since then, there's been some allegations against her for using AI. And I don't know if there's been any like concrete evidence or any updates on that. But I don't know. It's just in this day and age, especially with the types of books I read, a lot of them being independently published and all of that, it was never at any point when I read that book on my radar that it might have been AI. It concerns me that I may not pick up, that I might accidentally read AI and not realize it. And I'm not sure how good my AI radar is. And so for her to have that warning, or not a warning, I guess just that little blurb at the beginning saying, hey, specifically calling that out. This was published a few years ago. I appreciated it because I guess it's, unfortunately in this day and age, people might wonder. Yeah. When you start getting into weird smut books, there's a lot of common themes. I've never seen a door book before. And when you do, if you do, read it, and you get into how she finds out that her door is sentient and what happens, you know, the story doesn't just end after he becomes a man and then the story's over. Like, there's more. I just don't want to spoil it. It's so non-serious. I'm just so happy to celebrate the ingenuity, the creativity. It's not, in the greater scheme of things, is this a great book? No. Does it think that it is? Also, no. It's not like Vera Valentine wrote this and is like, oh my gosh, this is the next Moby Dick. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fun and creative. It's not meant to be that deep. And I guess that's part of what I want to talk about. And I just want to drive home is that not everything needs to be so goddamn serious all the time. Things don't need to be serious and to be deep for them to be good. There's nothing wrong if that's the sort of content that you prefer. But I guess I really disagree with the idea that something is inherently less than just because it's not deep and meaningful. Sometimes you want something lighthearted and fun and not that deep. It's kind of the same thing as music. Right? You can acknowledge that a song with deep, meaningful lyrics and a unique time signature or whatever, more complex music, you can appreciate that for all the complexities that it has compared to maybe a basic pop song. But the basic pop song isn't inherently bad because it's not complex. You know what I mean? Like, it might be against your personal preference. But there's nothing wrong with liking things that are just simple and lighthearted and easy. Like, you can like both. You don't have to pick. For what it is, it's fun. It's different. My only thing. Now, if this was tailored to my personal preferences, I thought it would be funny. Tana preferred the door and started, you know, frantically trying to figure out how to turn him back into a door. But he's like too stupid because he's like he's this himbo guy. But he's too stupid to understand. So he's just going along with it. The weirdness just didn't go quite far enough for me to really love it, ironically. And the smut in it isn't just to my personal preference because I'm not really big on the, like, oh, good boy. Like, that kind of infantilizing type stuff just isn't my thing. So it's not to my personal preference in those regards, but again, I appreciate it for what it is. Next up, we have Pounded by this Weregroundhog in a seemingly endless time loop on Groundhog Day by Chuck Tingle. The day just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again, and you can't seem to escape. Every time you go to bed, you wake up and it's still the same day again. Groundhog's Day. I don't know. At one point, somebody refers to our main character as Grom Norpol. I don't know if that's a name. I don't know. That's the only thing he's ever referred to as, so I don't know. But at this point, it's been 10 years of him reliving the same day over and over again. And he starts talking about how his mental health started to decline at about the 1 year mark. Now, in this town, on this specific day, one of the things that he typically does, he goes to the Groundhog's Day event, where there is, in this world, the Weregroundhog, aka Ben Rimbler, he goes up on stage at the Groundhog's Day event, and he's like, hey guys, sup? And then he transforms, because he's a Weregroundhog, and becomes this weird man groundhog hybrid who's still pretty sexy, I guess. And then we assess whether or not he sees his shadow, and this is normal in this town, in this reality. That's one of the things that Grom typically goes and watches, but again, he's been on this time loop for 10 years. So he thinks the groundhog, the Weregroundhog, Ben, is a sexy man, and he's gone on a couple of dates with him, but of course, nobody remembers him because the day keeps stopping over. The day keeps starting over. So on this particular day, after the presentation is over and he fails to see his shadow, Ben Rimbler, aka the Weregroundhog, is trying to go off the stage and leave. And Grom is like, hey motherfucker, how do I get out of this time loop? And then the Weregroundhog dude is like, oh hey bro, there's a door. Has actually been aware of Grom being in a time loop. He just didn't realize that Grom didn't know how to leave. Yeah, there's just a door that says time loop exit that Grom just never saw. And so he's been stuck here for over 10 years, and he could have walked out at any point in time. But then Grom and the Weregroundhog make passionate love to each other. Just passionate gay sex they have. And then he decides, like, maybe I'll take a few rides. Maybe I'll go around this loop a few more times. Especially since the Weregroundhog remembers him, And that's that story. But here's the thing. Chuck Tingle, this is his whole thing. The amount of books that this man has is impressive, like legitimately impressive. And at the end of this story, there was a bonus story called Slammed in the Butthole by My Concept of Linear Time. And this was also really interesting because this is about a guy. What was his name? Who cares? So there's a dude. He ends up at this office job. It turns out that they're making a time machine. So when he gets fired for being a big fat loser, he's like, I can go back in the time machine and I can try to fix this so that they don't fire me, so they don't find out how much I suck. He goes into the time machine, and instead of it transporting him back or forward in time, he's just kind of like in a void space with this hot man with a clock head who represents time. And then we start getting into this crazy thing where time is explaining to him that he's not real and he's just a character in a story, specifically a Chuck Tingle story. And it starts breaking the fourth wall. And then they end up making passionate gay sex. I love when authors break the fourth wall. I thought that the second story in particular, the first one was fine, but like this second story, breaking the fourth wall, jumping in at the concept of how much time fucks us over, literally and figuratively, I just thought it was so creative. I don't know, it was just interesting. I honestly think, even though Chuck Tingle I think his whole thing is just ridiculous gay smut. I think that that's kind of like his cornerstone. You just look at any of his titles, and there was one called Getting, I'll look it up. Getting Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt, which I didn't see until after I read the Ground Werehog story. But I would unironically read Chuck Tingle again. Like, if I just wanted to be amused, the smut is pretty standard gay smut, I would imagine. But the surrounding circumstances, they're just so out there. I kind of feel like he's blending bizarro type content with gay smut. When I finished this, I didn't rate it on Goodreads. I just marked it as read because I couldn't figure out how to rate it. I'm like, I have to think about this because in the greater scheme of things, I would probably give this a 3-star. But this isn't an average reading experience, though. I would say I enjoyed this more than an average book, but the book itself isn't necessarily on the level of the other books that I would have it a 4-star, and it's left me in this weird space where I don't know how to rate it. I was more taken with the bonus story than the OG story because I don't know, I guess after you get past the fact that it's a Weregroundhog, the smut itself is... But yeah, I really liked the humor and the peculiarities. I nailed that. Did you just hear me? Did you hear me nail that? Oh yeah, there was a quote in particular that I thought was funny. Chuck Tingle, the author, is having a conversation with his character on the page. I love stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, it's fun, it's playful. Again, sincerely, if I was just in the mood for like a quick, weird read, I would unironically read Chuck Tingle again. Deadass. So now this one is still smutty, but a little bit more lighthearted. Her Donut Shifters by Mia Harlan. So this is about a woman named Jetta. And in this world, witchcraft and magic are a thing. There are shapeshifters, there are witches, there are spells, enchantments, all that jazz. But Jetta is... Honestly, Jetta's kind of weird. She works for the Department of Supernatural Affairs. Because she is particularly sensitive to magic and enchantments and things like that, she can pick up on them things faster than the average person, and that's kind of how she makes herself useful at her job. But she is pissed off because near her place of living, 3 men have opened up a donut shop called Squishy Shifters Donut Emporium. And because Jetta is like, oh my gosh, I hate the smell of donuts. Who the fuck hates the smell? Like, you don't have to like the taste, but who the fuck hates the smell? She's kind of represented to be like a bit of a health freak. She's like, oh my gosh, the empty calories. Just shut up. But yeah, so she's pissed off because, presumably because there is a magical element to this donut emporium, which makes the smell, even though it's down the street, very strong to her. And there is a magical element because the 3 men who own the donut emporium, the Squishy Shifters Donut Emporium, are shapeshifters. And these 3 men, York, Brooks, and Andres, turn into various donut-like things. One of them turns into a ball of dough, one turns into an actual donut, and the other one is something else. And so this is a smut book about Jetta coming around for reasons, and she meets these 3 men who turn into donuts, and they all fuck each other. All at once. Jetta's getting the best of all of these men. She is just, it's a 3-on-1, and she's delighted. This one is more lighthearted in general. It's smut, but as far as as smut is concerned, I would say that this is on the more wholesome end of the spectrum. That being said, again, not really my thing so much personally, but that's okay. It's just there's a lot of licking donut products like sugar and jam and stuff off of each other. And it's just, I picture that being really sticky and unpleasant. Call me a prude or stick in the mud, but it's the gang bang, but it's also, I'm more upset about them licking the food off of each other. It just seems sticky, and honestly, there's a part where they put sugar on her, and I'm like, that seems way too abrasive. I don't like that at all. I don't want that. No. Don't you think, ladies, don't you think sugar abrasive down, right? No? Just me? I don't know. And then also it kind of seems like sand in the same way that you'd be finding that down there forever, Just gritty and like, ugh. Right? But yeah, that was I don't really have much to say about this one. Like I said, it's smut, but it's more. Despite the fact that this one woman shares three men who have different triggers that turn them into various donuts, different flavors, and yada yada. That is happening, but it has a wholesome air to it. And yeah, so it was just kind of cute and Now this next one is not cute. This is nefarious. Out of the group, I would say this one is like, I thought this one would be more silly than it is, but it's kind of like, has almost a bit of an ominous air to it. This is called The Debt, a Thanksgiving monster romance by Adrian Blue. So this is about this woman named Carrie, and it's Thanksgiving, and she is a social media lady. Like one of those people who it's kind of lifestyle type stuff. And so it's Thanksgiving, and she's like, I know what my viewers want to see. They want to see me have a good old-fashioned, rustic, farm-to-table Thanksgiving experience. And so she fucks off to some faraway place that's like kind of, more homey than wherever she normally lives. And she like rents a place or whatever. And she goes to the farmer's market. And she picks up all these ingredients, and including the turkey. The whole thing is her social media presence is her job. And it's kind of written in a way as if that is annoying. It's annoying that she does this for a living. It's annoying that she's filming herself in public, all of that sort of stuff. I mean, this lady was able to fuck off to small town place and curate this big meal that she's making farm to table and orchestrating this whole footage for her blog. So clearly she has no family or relationship or even friends to spend Thanksgiving with. Like, she's there alone. There's nobody there with her. And so it's not really addressed in the book, but it's kind of like, well, damn, like if you don't have anybody to spend a major holiday with and you care about holidays, not everybody does, but like I can kind of understand her trying to find connection in that way if she doesn't have anybody to be actually spending Thanksgiving with. But anyway, the book isn't about that. This is about the fact that when she goes to the farmer's market and she purchases a turkey, the guy there is kind of weird, and she's like, give me the best turkey you got. And he's like, I suppose it would be this one. And he gives her this big ass, it's dead already. Like it's dead and ready to, but it's just like a big boy. And he sells that to her, but he's being kind of weird and sketchy about it. Like, are you sure that you want this one? And it's like, my guy, if you didn't want to sell it, why did you bring it to sell it at the farmer's market? Whatever. She's like, yes, it's going to make a beautiful turkey for her pictures, blah, blah, blah. She makes this big ass Thanksgiving meal and starts filming, trying to get footage of like what the spread looks like and all this stuff. And she's finally at the point where she's going to cut the turkey. And right at that moment, this gigantic turkey man monster busts in the front door, and he's like, "Hey, now on my watch, motherfucker." And he whooshes, he throws everything off the table, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you? That was my turkey." And he's all pissed off because she purchased this turkey, and I guess that was like his turkey. And it's like, I don't know why he's not upset at the farmer man who had the turkey and was the one who actually killed it. But apparently he wasn't pissed off until it was already dead and about to get cut open. So he's just beside himself. She's like, "I just bought it at the farmer's market. I didn't know." And he's like, "I don't care that you didn't know. Ignorance does not mean innocence." And in this context, I would actually argue that, like, I think... In this context, I would argue that, like, I think it might, actually. Like, you should be mad at the farmer guy. Like, the farmer guy is the one who actually killed your turkey. I don't know who this big turkey man is supposed to be. He's like, what is he, like the god of the turkeys? I don't know who he is, but he concludes, he's like, "You know what? You done pissed me off. And the only way that you can make this right is for us to bone." And she's like, "That's weird." And he's like, "You either submit and give me what I want, or I'll take what I want, and it'll be a lot worse for you." And it turns into this weird thing where it like starts off with her being like, "This is gross and weird," and it's like non-consensual, but then during the fucking, she's like, "Oh my god, this is actually like ashamedly awesome." And that's that. There's like a line in here where it's like he says to her, "Now you're the one who's gonna get stuffed." Which was the funniest part of this book. Something about a turkey man, coming to get revenge on Thanksgiving, and, you know, like, you're the one who's going to get stuffed. The concept is very silly and funny. But the execution, the turkey man is scary. Genuinely seems kind of evil. Like, he's some sort of demonic entity. Like, I kept thinking of him, even though he's clearly supposed to be a turkey, under the circumstances, you understand, I kept thinking about him as a rooster. Any of y'all been around? I just said y'all because I mentioned the word rooster. Any of you? I kept thinking of it as a rooster. If any of you have ever been around a rooster, you know that roosters can be scary. They can be hella aggressive and scary. And so it was like the energy of this big turkey man was similar to the way I think about a rooster. The execution of it is less silly. Like it feels more I can't say it feels serious. It's just, again, like the turkey man is kind of scary and mean. Monster fucking, it's a whole genre in and of itself. I personally, yeah, like the idea of some monster thing busting in your front door and doing all of that, being like, "You have a debt to pay." Scary. Scary. And, you know, so it seems awfully convenient that the turkey man didn't feel the need for a debt to be paid until it was an attractive woman. It didn't feel the need to have a debt paid by the old farmer dude, you know, but... Okay. So those are all of the books that I read in full, but we have an honorary mention that I started to read, but things took a turn. So we're going to briefly talk about... Let me wrap myself up for this. I don't know how to say this word. Maybe I could Google it. I don't care. Fertile Hucows? Hucows? Human cow? Hucows. Fertile Hucows Minotaur Daddy by Faye Darkhaven. Why is this just an honorary mention? and not part of the video. Well, you see this cover, right? Like, you see this. You can understand why I looked at that and was like, yes, please, for this video specifically. Right? Okay. But this book, the cover of this book and the tone of this book are very different. So this is, I didn't know what a Hucow was. A Hucow, human cow. It's a bondage thing. It's part of the BDSM subculture where people like to role play as dairy cows. Typically, it's the women who are turned on by the idea of being treated like cattle and being milked by some sort of sexy man, in this case, a Minotaur. I'm pretty sure I said it right when I first said the title, Minotaur. And so that's what this is. And the thing is I thought, based off of the cover, that this was going to be silly and funny and tongue-in-cheek. I guess I want to drive home the point that the purpose behind this video is not just to mock and laugh at people for having kinks or fetishes that I don't have. That's not the type of energy or the point of this video. My intention that I hope comes across is to pick out books that are meant to be amusing, that are tongue-in-cheek, that are kind of silly, that are meant to make you laugh and to be kind of weird. That I want to laugh with the author, not at the author. This book, I got about a third of the way through it, and I just had to accept the fact that this isn't trying to be funny. Like, this is just a fetish book. And so it does not really fit the theme of this video. But I'm including it because I had to show you this cover. But also, I guess I'll just tell you, so specifically this book is about Leora, who goes to Thornvale Dairy Farm, where the transformation is going to take place. She goes there for work, but basically she's there. There's a ritual. There's a Minotaur named Daruk, and he's the overseer, and he's the one who tends to the herd of Hucows, which is the lady cattle. These women just choose to go to this farm and undergo some weird ritual that makes their tits become gigantic and udder-like. Why am I doing that? And then they become insatiably horny. And they just kind of become part of the herd where they get milked. So, this is not for me. In fact, something about women fantasizing about this situation, it kind of makes me uncomfortable, to be honest. I mean, look, sex is weird. Desires, fetishes, it's all weird. This is not for me. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable, dare I say. And considering the sort of stuff that I seek out, this makes me uncomfortable. But, to each their own. The purpose of this is not to shame, because look, the reality of the situation, it's super easy to look at people who are open about the stuff that they're into and to be like, oh my gosh, that's weird, or that's cringe, or something. And it's like, okay, Sandra, why don't you share with the class then? What's the weirdest thing you ever jerked off to? You want to share that? Would that not be embarrassing for you, Sandra? So you get what I'm saying. Like, sex is weird. People get turned on by weird things. Sometimes you feel ashamed immediately after having sexy thoughts, Like, it's weird. It's inherently weird. Everybody has things that they like and things that they don't. Most people probably have certain things that they kind of gets them a little frisky, that they would be embarrassed to admit, right? And these people are just either going under a fake name and not revealing their face, or they're just unabashedly putting it out there and saying fuck it. And so it's a harmless fetish kink thing. Far be it from me to judge them for it. But what I will tell you about Leora going to this farm, turning into a Hucow, and her presumably, again, I didn't finish the book as soon as I accepted the fact that this isn't what I was looking for. Because I tried to skip ahead a little bit. I was like, okay, this is called The Fertile Hucow's Minotaur Daddy. You know, so let's get to the point where he's a daddy. I fully read about a third of the book, and then I tried to skip ahead. And the section that I skipped ahead to, oh my God, this book is like, people are freaking out about fucking, what was that book? What was the one? You know the one. Hunting Adeline, when this is out in the world, this is insane. I don't want to say disgusting, but like, this is like, I couldn't believe, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much. This is so much. So like, if you want to read a very intense smut book that gets fucking wild in the end, based off of that section that I randomly turned to, holy fuck. Like, this gets really intense. So I'm not recommending it per se. Again, I did not read the whole thing, but like, if you're curious, and I wanted to show you the cover. I want to make it clear what my intention behind this video was, and I just wanted you to know. I just wanted you to know. It's not trying to be funny. It is being dead ass. So, take that for what it's worth. Take it or leave it. I'm just throwing it out into the universe. You cannot judge a book based off of its cover in this case, because I tried to do that and it did not work out. So that's all I have to say about that. Those are all of the smut books that I read for Valentine's Day. I hope you enjoyed. I promise that we will get back to more of our regular content in the next video. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And maybe I'll see you the next time around. Bye. I'm just so happy to celebrate the ingenuity. There's a fly in here. And how he's been stuck in this time loop for